What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/Tales from Retail. This story's called When Everything Breaks and Customers Act Like It's Somehow Your Fault and a Personal Insult to Them. So this happened Friday afternoon, starting about 2:30 p.m. and ending around 4:30, which isn't a super long time to have issues, but it still wasn't great. I work at a hardware store as a cashier, and on Friday, I was by myself on the lumber end of the store at what are called the pro registers due to being located next to the pro desk and being frequented by contractors, aka the pros. About 2:30, I noticed that there was some significant slowing down of the register processing card transactions. We've recently gotten new, in quotes, because everything my store gets is refurbished and or hand-me-downs from other stores who were lucky enough to get brand new equipment. Pin pads, which while still buggy, were significantly more usable than the old ones, which had a bad tendency to only work perfectly for maybe 25% of the transactions. One of the big improvements, other than being fairly certain that no, it really is the customer's chip being broken and not a 50-50 toss-up of the pin pad just not working to read chips again, was that they're significantly faster at processing transactions. Also, when searching for items on the online cashier book, a system that's supposed to list items from the store and have a function to search things from if they don't have a barcode, but has the worst search functionality I have ever seen, aka the OCB, was running even slower than usual and giving me more connection errors than typical. Then the lone pro desk worker started having issues with his phone. In the middle of a call with a customer, the line started breaking up, so he moved to try the call on the other phone at the desk, only for the phone to decide to reboot itself in the second he lifted the receiver from the cradle. All else failing, he ended up calling the guy back on his personal phone and kept dealing with the weird issues with the phones for another 30 minutes. At 3, I got sent on my break and noticed that the store's Wi-Fi has gone from slow, but mostly functional, to completely unusable. And now people are having issues with the time clock saying it's not connected to the network when they try to clock in or out. While this is going steadily downhill, get back from break and continue checking out the sparse customers. Now customers who try to pay with card are getting declined. First guy ran his card a second time and it went through, but the next couple of people to try couldn't get it to work at all. So I sent them to self-checkout in the hopes that it was just my register having weird issues. Next thing I do is try to call my head cashier to see if they're having issues on his end of the store. Oh, would you look at that? The phones are now completely down and nobody can contact each other anywhere in the store. And now a customer is trying to call the non-functional phones, which rerouted the call to the overhead PA system, and it's endlessly ringing. Yay! So as I'm sending customers down to the other end of the store saying my register isn't working, I'm trying to get a hold of anybody to see if they can tell me what's going on, so I text my supervisor's personal phone hoping he sees it quickly. Again, no luck, and it takes 15 minutes plus and several more customers before I can finally hear back from somebody over the walkie-talkies we used for our lot loaders, and they inform me that yeah, all phones are down, which took down the internet, or the other way around possibly. All I know is one going down took out the other, which then took out our ability to process card transactions. They're now trying to inform an assistant manager. Again, no in-store phones are working, so I can't call him directly, and nobody is sure where he was at first, to see if he could figure out what was going on. So then I get the joy of informing customers coming in that our system currently can't take any cards, which means cash only. We can't currently look up, process, or release any online orders, and we can't get a hold of anybody that isn't within shouting distance. Luckily, we're not very busy, at least on my end of the store. But the first customer I get, who came in before we started having the issues, seems to take it personally that something went wrong with our system and that I can't take his debit card as payment. I apologize, but he just goes on a rant about how he needs all of this right now, and we should know when our system will be back up. Yeah, sure, I totally got clairvoyance. And how is it possible that it went down and blah blah blah? Can't he leave this on hold with us and we can call him back when the system system comes up, nope, sorry, we only do will calls for items that have been paid for. We don't hold unpaid items because they take up space we don't have. And anyway, I highly doubt the will call system is even currently functional at the moment since nothing else is currently working. By the time this guy is done ranting at me, he decides to add more items to his order, which is already well over the couple hundred in cash he had on him, and then informs me that we're gonna become friends because he's gonna stand there in front of me until the system comes back up. 4:30 hits and it's time for my lunch, and another cashier comes down saying that they've had luck running debit cards as credit and to try that, which I suggest to my customer to get him out of my face. He completely ignores my instructions to run it as credit and puts in his PIN, but by some miracle, the transaction went through. I get a hold of Lumber to get the guy the rest of his stuff, listen to him complain about a couple of more things, then make my escape to get lunch. By about 5, everything got fixed again, and we didn't have to continue to listen to customers whine about a technical issue we had no control over. But it was a long 2.5 hours of dealing with weird slowdowns and then a complete system crash. Later heard from another coworker who came in after everything was over that it was possibly a widespread issue since he stopped at another store before he came in, and they said they were also having internet problems. Also, another cashier said a customer said they lived in a nearby neighborhood where everyone else also lost internet, so who knows. But you gotta love the customers who think we personally made our system crash just to cause them issues, because we definitely love hearing them whine and complain about it, and the company definitely wants to lose money intentionally just to cause some grief. See, I knew it, now they're just admitting it, so yeah, next time store has technical issues, you make sure you take a dump on their freaking cash register. This story's called The Time I Told a Mean Old Man to Shut the Frick Up and Leave Me Alone. A couple of years ago, when I worked at a national hardware store chain, I had an encounter with a mean older man. Let me specify that when I say I worked at the store, I didn't work for the store. This is important later. I worked for the company that supplied the flowers and shrubs and trees, but I was always at that store when I worked. For some background, I am pursuing a degree in forestry, minoring in horticulture. I've taken 3/4 of the classes needed for a bachelor's in horticulture. For personal reasons, I'm leaving it at that and coming back later for it. And I worked for 2 semesters in a plant biology greenhouse conservatory on campus. I also keep well over a dozen plants on my own. All I mean by saying that is that I know how to water plants. I also know that when you water plants that are for sale, needing to look nice, and are bunched together tightly and frequently shaded, you want to avoid drenching the foliage so the plants can breathe and take up water to avoid root rot and the foliage dying. Presentable flowers get sold. Rotting flowers do not. I was watering them using a long handheld sprayer, shooting the water into my cupped hand and directing the water underneath the foliage with my hand. Honestly, I thought it was a clever move, since no one else watered them that way, and 1/3 of our stock seemed to be lost to rot. In comes the 60-year-old man who tells me I'm doing it wrong. His wife is nearby. I ignore him. He tells me I'm doing it wrong again. I've had a long day by this point. It's hot and in the middle of summer in the Midwest, and I'm irritated, so I keep ignoring him. Then he tells me that I'm wrong again, and that I'm stupid for doing it the way I'm doing it, and that he's owned a commercial greenhouse for 30 years, so he knows what he's talking about. After he told me I'm stupid for doing it this way, I turned to him and said sternly and loudly, "Shut the frick up and leave me alone!" He stood there for a second, a brief moment of shock, and then yelled, "Where's your manager? I'm gonna report you!" Remember how I said I don't work for the store? I looked at him and said, he oversees 7 different stores in this part of the state. Good luck finding him. It should also be noted that my boss was a woman, not a man, but I opted not to say that. At this point, he was getting really flustered. His wife came over looking sheepish and put her hands around his arm and gently started pulling him away. Nothing ever happened, so I assumed he either couldn't find someone who cared or just didn't tell anyone. That's how you go about helping people out. You call them stupid. This story's called, I Can't Sell You Cheerios at the Entrance. Preface. Like many a retail store, the company in which I work for had implemented a person at the door to count how many people are coming in and out, as well as to wipe carts down. I got the lovely shift that day, and this interaction happened. Side note as well, the entrance and exit doors are basically across from each other in a semi-large entrance. You can see everything from one spot. On to the story. Here's the cast. Cheerios! Me. I'm standing there counting people. Cheerios comes over after walking out and is looking at the cereal we have on display.
I want to buy these Cheerios.
Not a problem, sir. You'll have to go back in.
Can't I buy them here?
I apologize, sir, but no.
And why not?
I don't have a register or anything of the sort to assist you.
So I have to go back into the store?
Yes, sir. That's where the registers are located. There are self-checkouts if you'd like something quicker.
Fine then.
He walks away with a huff. Okay. 5 minutes later, Cheerios comes back out.
It would take too much time. Never mind.
And then throws the box of Cheerios in one of our bins of other groceries and walks out. People make no sense anymore. Hey, you lay off the guy. He's just trying to lower his cholesterol and become heart healthy, because that's what Cheerios are good for. Alright, this story's called One of the Best Responses to a Customer Complaint I Have Ever Seen. Some background. A customer placed a $500 deposit under their credit card to start the process on an order. The customer canceled the order a few days later and was well within the cooling down period. The order was canceled and the money was refunded to the card. This all happened within the same week back in December of 2019. The salesperson in question is one of our most successful salespeople and last year almost made $200,000 in total compensation. Truth be told, until recently, no one had paid any attention to this particular transaction. The sales manager at the start of October sent out a marketing email to all of his past customers, sharing some news in an attempt to generate some business. The customer from December of 2019 said he didn't want to do business with him, or requested to be removed from the mailing list, first time he's requested this to our knowledge, which we did comply with, and accused the salesperson of stealing his $500. The salesperson checked the order, ensured the money was refunded as it should have been, even going out of his way to check with accounting, who did confirm the refund was issued with no serious delay or issue. The salesperson advised the customer of this, to which the customer accused the salesperson of stealing his $500. The salesperson provided the customer with his manager's contact details and told the customer if he feels that strongly that he stole from him, he should report him. The customer filed a complaint with us. We investigated the complaint. We determined that indeed everything had been done by the book and that the credit card was actually a card in the customer's name. Basically, no funny business took place. We, however, did invite the customer to provide bank statements if he feels like we didn't refund the money. And if we can't see the refund, we will send him a $500 check. Generally, when we do this, the customer goes back, sees that we did indeed refund the money, but they didn't notice it. The customer rejected our response and demanded he be compensated and threatened legal action over $500. It was escalated to our regional VP, who reviewed the details and came to the same conclusion, to which the VP wrote this email. Dear customer, it has come to my attention that you have accused person X of stealing $500 from you. You used your own credit card to place the $500 deposit and canceled within the grace period, which means you received a full refund. We have checked our accounting and everything appears to suggest that this is exactly what happened. We have invited you to provide evidence if you disagree with this statement, and even went so far as to say if you can prove the money was never returned to you, we would mail you a check in the amount of $500. You have failed to provide any evidence supporting your claims. Also, Mr. Salesperson is one of the most successful sales professionals in our organization and has over a 15-year track record of proven success. Mr. Salesperson has one of the highest customer satisfaction ratings in our organization by a substantial margin. In addition, it is impossible for our salespeople to steal customer deposits. Our system simply does not allow for that. The fact that you have accused him of stealing your deposit with no evidence to back up your claim is disturbing. In response to this, you have decided to threaten us with a lawsuit. I've spoken to our lawyers, and they have advised me if you wish to pursue legal action, you should have your attorney contact them. The contact details are below. Furthermore, I have made the decision to blacklist you from ever being a customer of ours again. Please note note that any responses to this email will be forwarded to our attorney. I wish you all the best. I translated the email, it wasn't written in English. But I printed out the email and showed it to our salesperson and told him to block the customer's email. Wow, they got him. I guess he didn't really expect it to be like, hey, if you can prove it, we'll send you the money. And so that's kind of funny. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.